So the reason why this 45-45 right triangle that we have right here is special is that you don't need to use sine, cosine, tangent to figure out the sides of the missing side. If you know one of them, you can figure out all the rest. Because the ratio is so predictable set, then all you need is just a one measurement given, and then you can figure out all the rest. Now the ratio is, first it is using x, but x and x meaning that they are identical. For example, if this is a 5, then what do you think this side is going to be? It is going to be 5 as well. They are the same length. If it's a 5, the other one is 5. Now, if it is, then do you see that? The square root of 2, it's x times square root of 2, right? In other words, if this is a 5, the other one is 5, and then the other side is going to be 5 times square root of 2. If one of the leg, this is called a leg, this is a leg, and this is a hypotenuse. It's the slanted side, right? If the leg is x, the other leg is also x. And then the hypotenuse is square root of 2 times whatever x. So if one of the leg is 5, the other one is 5, and the hypotenuse will be 5 square root of 2. If one of the leg is 3, if this is 3, if one of the leg is 3, the other one is also 3, and then the hypotenuse will be 3 square root of 2. Yeah, let's copy this down, okay? If one of the leg is 7, then the other leg is also 7. And the hypotenuse will be what? Just say out loud, it will be 7 square root of 2. So you get the point? Let's try one more time. If one of the leg is 2.4, then what's the other leg? 2.4. They are always the same. And then the hypotenuse is going to be what? 2.4 square root of 2. You get that? You get the point? In other words, if it's a 45, then other angle is going to be 45 too. If you, let's say you have x, and this is 5, this is x. I mean, you could set up as cosine of 45 equals 5 over x, and then you can just solve it the way that we've done. But we don't need to anymore, because if it's a 45-45 triangle, you know that it's going to be 5, and the x is going to be 5 square root of 2. And you can just find it immediately without using SOHCAHTOA. So that's why it's called special, or sometimes some teachers will call them shortcut right triangle. Because you already know, you don't need to do anything. You guys okay so far? But there are a couple of variations. So I want to talk about 2 cases, okay? Something came in, read it. So it's going to be a bit of a writing today. I hope you don't mind that, okay? But please copy all of them down, okay? So case study 1. So there are 2 cases for 45-45 triangle. One type of a question is that I will give you one of the leg. And this is probably the easy one, okay? Then you should be able to find all the rest of the sides, okay? So if 6 is given, can you figure out what x and y is? Well, what do you think x is going to be? X will be, you don't have to type, you don't have to unmute, just say out loud, just as though you're talking to me. X will be 6, right? Because both of the legs are the same. If it's a 45-45, it creates an isosceles triangle. So both sides are the same. So x is going to be x is going to be 6 as well. Okay. Now, how about y though? So if both of the legs are 6, what is y going to be? Y is going to be 6 times in order to figure it out, y, you multiply square root of 2. So it will be, I'm sorry guys, I'm creating a little mess here. So the other leg is 6, right? Now, in order to figure out this side, you want to multiply square root of 2. So it will be 6 square root of 2. Let's erase that. Does that make sense so far? So let's write this down. Okay, are you guys ready to move on? The other case is where you are given, so you have to give one measurement at least, right? So that if I give you this time hypotenuse, okay, this side right here, can you figure out the legs? Now they are both identical, right? So you just have to find one. Now, if hypotenuse is 10, what do you think you have to do to get back to find the leg? What do you think you have to do? Anybody? Let me give you a hint. If you know the leg, let's say 6, right? Leg is 6. How did you figure out the hypotenuse? You multiply square root of 2 to get to the hypotenuse, which is now it's a 6 times square root of 2. So in order for you to get back from hypotenuse back to the leg, that's right, you have to divide by not just 2, but divide by square root of 2. Has anybody done this before? In geometry, maybe? Who has seen this before? Maybe this is a review for some of you, or many of you. Okay, all right, you guys have done this already. All right, or maybe some of you haven't, right? So, okay, so some of you haven't, and some of you, it's a review, so please bear with me. I hope it is a good review for you. Okay, so some of you didn't quite get that last time. Hopefully this will get, yeah. So if I give you the measurement for the hypotenuse, in order for you to get back to the leg, you have to divide by square root of 2. So the answer will be, the leg will be 10 divided by square root of 2. Whatever that is, it's going to be a decimal number. And the other leg is, they are all the same. So this will be also 10 divided by square root of 2. Does that make sense? Again, there are two cases. If you know the leg, then you multiply square root of 2 to get to the hypotenuse. If you know the hypotenuse, in order for you to find the leg, you have to divide by square root of 2. Yeah, does that make sense? You multiply to get to the hypotenuse, or you divide to get back to the leg. Yeah? Please write this down. Does anybody need more time all the way up to this point so far? So that's the two cases, two type of a problem, okay? You guys are ready to move on? The other special triangle is what's called the 30-60 right triangle. It's a 30-degree and 60-degree. Now, just to give you a little background, 30-60 triangle is coming from equilateral triangle. Do you guys know what equilateral triangle is? Equilateral triangle has all three sides all equal. Okay, and each angle measurement is interior, inside angle is all 60, 60, 60, 60. That's an equilateral triangle. Now, if you split, so that's, in other words, if one side is 10, the other side is 10, other side is 10. If other side is 4, 4, 4, it's all the same length. Okay. Now, 30-60 right triangle is coming from splitting equilateral triangle right in half. And then you will have (30, 60) right triangle. Okay. And the relationship is that this bottom, this shorter leg is always half of the hypotenuse. So if this is a 5, the short leg is 5, the hypotenuse is going to be double of that, which will be 10. So that's why I said if the short leg is x, then the hypotenuse is 2x, or double. It's a 5, it's 10. If it's 4, it's 8. Okay. And this other leg is always square root of 3 times more. So you multiply square root of 3. So it will be 5 square root of 3. Does that make sense? So that's the ratio. Okay. So if you know this ratio, you don't have to do all SOHCAHTOA. You still can. Okay. You can still find out the measurement of the sides by using SOHCAHTOA, by just picking one angle as a focus angle, and then you do the SOHCAHTOA. But if you remember the ratio, you don't have to. You just know immediately what the other two sides are. So that's why sometimes people call it a shortcut question. So let's do the case study. Okay. The first case is that you know the shorter leg, like that one. So that side is 4. So this is a given to you. Okay. And your job is to figure out the other two sides. Okay. Are you guys with me? If you need more time to write this down, please just tell me. Direct message to me. Hey, I need more time. Please stop. I have a question. I don't get it. Okay. You are not gonna offend me by saying that. Okay. If you don't get it, just tell me. When I was teaching in classroom, I can have lots of feedback by even just by looking at your face, the way you guys are behaving. But I don't have any of that, right? Only feedback that I'm getting is from the chat, or maybe somebody just shout at me. So just let me know, okay? So when you know the short leg, well, first thing, the easy one to figure out is the hypotenuse, because the short leg and the hypotenuse is always double relationship or half relationship. So you multiply by 2, you double it. So it's going to be 8. Yeah, does that make sense? If it's 4, it's going to be 8. 5, it's going to be 10. If it's 6, it's going to be 12. Double, half relationship. And if you know the short leg, you can also figure out the other leg. And how do you do that? You're going to multiply square root of 3. So it will be 4 square root of 3. That's okay, Charlie. Yeah, I'm glad you made it. Somebody just came in to the class. So glad to see you. You guys okay? Moving on. Case study 2. What if I give you the longer leg? Okay. Then can you figure out all the other two sides? Okay. Now you have to kind of do this in order. First step, you have to figure out the shorter leg. How do you do that? How did you go from the short leg to the long leg? What did you do? Didn't you multiply square root of 3? Okay. So what do you think you have to do to get back to the short leg? This time you have to, very good, 1, you have to divide by square root of 3. So the short leg will be 5 divided by square root of 3. Whatever that is. Let's actually figure out. 5 divided by square root of 3. And it's not going to be a nice number. It's 2.886. So the long leg is 5. The short leg, it will be smaller, right? It's smaller than 5, which is going to be 2.886. And how did you get that? By dividing by square root of 3. Now that you know that short leg, how do you figure out the hypotenuse? What do you think you have to do? What's the relationship between short leg and the hypotenuse? It's a double, isn't it? So you're going to double 2.886. Yeah. So now you're going to double or multiply by 2. So I still have that in calculator. So multiply that by 2. Let's not round off 2.886. Just leave it in the calculator and then double that. And I get 5 point. Well, it's 2.886 times 2, which is 5.77. Does that make sense? So you have to follow that path. First, you find out the short leg, and then you double it to get the hypotenuse. So that's a case number 2. Okay. And then the last case is I can give you the measurement of the hypotenuse. By the way, are you guys okay on what hypotenuse is? Hypotenuse is the always the side across from the 90 degree. So here's the 90 degree, right? And the hypotenuse is always the side across from the 90 degree. That's a hypotenuse. Because I could give you the equation drawing the right triangle like this. Now, where is the hypotenuse? Hypotenuse is actually on the bottom right here. Okay, it's always the side across from 90 degrees. Okay, so please remember that. So yeah, please write this down too. I think this will help you because this is not hypotenuse. You're thinking like a hypotenuse is the slanted side. Well, this is not hypotenuse, is it? It's the hypotenuse is actually on the bottom right here because it is across from the 90 degree. Okay. All right, the last case study is that I give you the measurement for the hypotenuse. Can you figure out the other legs? Now, how do you do that? Well, in this case, you want to get back to the short leg. What is the relationship between the hypotenuse and the short leg? It is double or half, isn't it? So if the hypotenuse is 10, you're going to divide by 2 to get to the short leg, which is going to be 5. Yeah? And if you know the short leg, can you figure out, how do you figure out the longer leg? Let me hear from you. How do you go from short leg to the long leg. Remember right here, if you know it's 4, you multiply by square root of 3, right? So you're going to multiply square root of 3. So it will be 5 square root of 3. Okay. Guys, okay? Let's do the assignment now. Okay, so for those who are new, we are going to start the assignment. You can just still continue from where you are. You can just continue on your notes, but let's get started. Does anybody need to see any of the notes still? Is everybody good? Okay. So here is the assignment, 8 problems, okay? So in your notebook assignment, at least I want you to write down HW homework 4.3. Okay, so this is the 3rd assignment for this. If you feel confident that you can do this on your own, you can download this and see the whole thing. Or maybe you can just snap a picture of it right now and just work off of your cell phone. But it's in modules, and you can download that. Okay. So let's begin. Number 1. So if you see this is a 60 degrees, that means it is 30, 60 right triangle. Okay. Now we need to figure out X and Y. Now what do we do? So I apologize for going back and forth and moving around. But this one, let's clear up a little bit here. This case, isn't it? You know the short leg. So what do we need to do? You need to double to get to the hypotenuse, and then you multiply by square root of 3 to get to the other leg, right? So you got to remember which case each problem will fit. Okay, so we've got short leg, which is 8. So how do you get to the hypotenuse? What does your note say? It's a double, isn't it? So it's going to be 8 times 2. So y is going to be 16. You don't even need to do anything. Right? You know it's a double because it's 30, 60 right triangle. And how do you get to x? You're going to, what do you have to do? Somebody tell me, what do you have to do to get to x? You have to multiply, right? Now, the other clue is you're going from short to longer side, right? That means you have to multiply. If you're going from a long to short, then you have to divide by something. Does that make sense? So in this case, you have to multiply. And what do you have to multiply by? you're going to multiply by square root of 3. So it will be 8 square root of 3. Are you getting this? Okay, number 2. You guys ready? So you're done for number 1, right? You just found the other 2 sides. Number 2, this one says x and x. That means 2 sides are the same. Now, even though it doesn't provide you with the angle measurement, this is 45, 45. Because, how do I know that? Because 2 sides are equal. In other words, both angles has to be the same. Since this is a 90 degree, the other 2 angles should be combined together will be 90 degrees. So it has to be 45, 45. Okay. And we do know the hypotenuse, right? Which is 18. How do we get back from hypotenuse to the leg? Now this is a 45, 45 though. Since we are going from long to short, you have to divide, right? What do you think you have to divide by? Right here. If you know that the hypotenuse given is a hypotenuse, right? If a hypotenuse is 10, how did you get back to the leg? You divided by square root of 2. Yeah. So makes me dizzy here. So you're going to divide by square root of 2. So it's going to be 18 divided by square root of 2, whatever that is. And the other side is also going to be 18 square root of divided by square root of 2 because they are the same. So that's it, you're done. You don't need to convert it into decimal, but if you did, it's 12.7. And you have to round off because it's an irrational number. Okay, you guys are with me? Number 3. Again, it's 45, 45. This time we do know the one leg. Let's add this y. I don't know why I forgot to do that. So what's x and y? Okay. Again, if you need more time to write it down, please tell me. Okay. All right. So if you know one of the leg is 8, how about the other leg? It's 45, 45, so they are the same, right? So why it has to be 8? They are the same thing. How do you find the hypotenuse? I need to scroll up. This is 8. That's 8. And how do you get to the hypotenuse? Hypotenuse is longer, so you got to multiply by something, right? What do you multiply by? anybody thinking double? Is it double half a relationship for 45, 45? Look into your notes. Right there. 45, 45, you multiply. It's not double, but you multiply by square root of 2. Yeah. So you've got to multiply by square root of 2. So the answer is 8 square root of 2. Sounded like a lot of you have already done this before, so I don't know if this is too easy, or I hope you're at least staying with me and that you're getting this. Okay, number 4. Now, what do we know? Which case does this fall in? This is 30-60 triangle. And we know that this is one of the longer leg, right? Okay, very good. Some of you are already done. Nice job. Maybe you can stick around and make sure that you check your answer, okay? Or maybe you can help us out. How do you go to, what do you figure out first for number 4? How do you go from long leg to short leg? Is it double and a half relationship? Now remember, now the triangle is all rotated, right? So you have to keep it straight, what the relationship is. The double and a half is between the short leg and the hypotenuse. That's double and a half. But this one is not the hypotenuse, is it? 12 is not hypotenuse. 12 is one of the other leg. So you have to divide by square root of 3. So x is 12 divided by square root of 3, whatever that is. Let's figure out 12 divided by square root of 3. It's a 6.92. 6.928, right? And then now that you figure out the short leg, you can double to get to the hypotenuse. Again, the short leg and the hypotenuse is double half. 4, 30, 60 right triangle. Kind of gets confusing, isn't it? Which one is double? Which one is multiplied by square root of 2? It's either multiply, double, half, multiply by square root of 2, divide by square root of 2, and then you multiply by square root of 3 or divide by square root of 3. It's one of those, or they are the same, right? And so you double that, you get 13.85. So I'm going to just round off to 13.9. Yeah, or 13.86. That'll be good too. Yeah, very nice. So it's that and that. Okay. Number 5. Again, still on 30-60 right triangle. Are you guys with me? Anybody? Can we move on? Or maybe you're already done. I don't know. I wish I could peek into your notebook, see where you are. All right, number 5. You need to make some notes to remember something. Okay, number 5. Again, we're still on 30-60 right triangle. And what do we know? We do know that this is 6 is what? That's a hypotenuse, isn't it? Okay. So if you know the hypotenuse, what can you figure out immediately? Can't you figure out the short leg? What's the hypotenuse and short leg relationship? Double, half, right? So x has to be, you gotta divide by 2. So it's gonna be 3. Maybe I should let you figure out by yourself a little bit more independently. I hope you're figuring out before me, okay? Now, how do you go from 3 to y? How do you figure it out? What do you have to do? You gotta multiply by something, right? Because you want to figure out the longer leg. What do you multiply by? You're gonna multiply by square root of 3. So it will be 3 square root of 3. Is okay? Okay, number 6. Now back to 45, 45. So how do you work on that by yourself? Well, how do you get to n, m, and n? Let's find out. So how do you go from the hypotenuse to, let's figure out one leg. How do you get back to one leg from hypotenuse? If you're not still quite getting this, then answer this question. Do you think you have to multiply or divide? You have to divide by something because you're going from long to short, right? So you got to divide by something to make it shorter. Now, what do you divide by? So you look at your notes, find the 45, 45. You're going to divide by square root of, again, I'm going to do this one more time. Yeah. If you know the hypotenuse, you've got to divide by square root of 2. Yeah. So if you have this in your notes, it helps you, right? So let's get back. So the answer will be 7 divided by square root of 2. And since 2 legs are the same length, the other one is also 7 divided by square root of 2. Okay. Okay, how about number 7? I know I'm going maybe, well, Definitely too slow for some of you. I know some of you are very quick. Uh, appreciate you guys going along with me. So how about number 7? Or maybe you guys are done. It's okay. The speed is not what I'm testing you right now, is it? Isn't it? Right? Accuracy is what matters the most. So make sure that you understand it correctly, and then the speed will come uh, later. Okay. Understanding first, okay? Number 7. What do you know for this question? You do know this is not the hypotenuse, but this is one of the longer leg, right? So what do you have to figure out first? You always want to figure out short leg. So again, let me ask you, do you think you have to multiply or divide? You have to divide because you're going from big to small, right? So you got to divide to make it smaller. What are you going to divide by? What's the relationship between long leg and short leg? It is square root of 3, isn't it? So you've got to divide by square root of 3. So y is going to be 6 divided by square root of 3. Now you're going to figure out short leg to hypotenuse. X is the hypotenuse, isn't it? Again, let me ask you, do you think you have to multiply or divide? Now you're going from short leg to hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is the longest side, isn't it? So you're going from short to big. So you're going to multiply. Now, what are you going to multiply by? What does your note say? What's the relationship between short leg and the hypotenuse? It's double, half. So you're going to multiply by 2. So the answer will be 6 divided by square root of 3 times that by 2, whatever that is. Let's figure out. 6 divided by square root of 2, enter, times that by 2. So it will be 8.5. Okay, here's the last question, guys. I'm getting hungry. Did you guys eat something already? Breakfast? Yeah. By the way, do you guys wake yourself up? Or is anybody helping you wake up? Yeah, so did I mess up? So first you figure out the short leg, right? So there's a question how I got 8.5. So 6 divided by square root of 3, which is 3.46. Oh, yeah, that my bad. So 8.5 is wrong, isn't it? And then I double that. I divided by square root of 2 instead of square root of 3. So 6 divided by square root of 3 and then multiply by 2. So my bad. So it's 6.9. Thank you. Okay, so the last question, the one of the short leg, the legs, one of the legs is 14. So what is the x going to be? It's a 45 now. It is going to be 14 as well, because 45 right triangle, two sides are the same. So you don't need to do anything, right? It's 14, then the other one is also 14. And then, very good. One, how do you get to y? You gotta multiply, right? Because you're going from short to big, longer. And then what do you multiply by? You're going to multiply by square root of 2. 14 square root of 2 is 19.8. Everybody, I want to hear from you. Scale of 1 to 5, where are you? 5, I've got it. 1, I don't get this. Yeah, is this easy? I hope you find this easy. Or maybe some of you are maybe struggling. It's okay. Will you tell me, maybe direct message? 3, anybody 2, feeling like 2 or even 1? Yeah? Okay, very good. All right. Okay, good. We'll continue to practice this, okay? But this is the end of today's assignment. So please take a picture, not my screen. I'm gonna keep reminding you guys, but you take a picture of your notebook and then please submit in Canvas. The assignment 4.3 is already published, so you will be able to upload your picture in there. If you do not know how to upload the picture, please remain in the class. I will be happy to help you. Okay. So this is it. You guys, thank you guys for your effort, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, guys. Okay. Very good. That's fine. Take care, guys. Have a great day.